So Welsh Rugby as we know it has hit a massive crossroads. There is a huge turning point ahead, and the WRU proposing bold, radical reorganisation of Welsh domestic rugby. What do you make of it all? What do you think? Let me know please in the chat down below. It's so weird being so far away from home, and even in South Africa, word of this move or potential move is starting to make waves even on the other side of the world. Because, you know, just as the current national Australian team are here in South Africa, and, you know, I think most neutrals, most rugby fans just want a strong Australia, I think the rugby world recognises that a strong Wales is important to the world game. And obviously it's incredibly sad to see Wales where they currently are, and it's not an incredibly optimistic place to look at the future of Welsh rugby. So yeah, there's lots to get in on this one. What do you think the WRU are up to here? I guess one of the big questions I've got is, have they already made their decision? Have they made the decision first and then are trying to back engineer everyone to be on board with the decision that they've already actually made? That is my suspicion here, but I'm getting ahead of myself anyway. So let me just say thank you for watching. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. And if you appreciate the content on the channel, then drop a little thumbs up on the video, hit subscribe so you don't miss anything, and yeah, most importantly, leave your thoughts down below. I'm currently at, this is Camps Bay in Cape Town. It's mad, isn't it? If I just do that, it looks like it's could be a beautiful summer's day, and if I look that way, the cloud descending down the mountain. No 2 days are the same in this place. No 2 hours are the same, to be honest. It's like a constantly moving oil painting. See, the top of Lion's Head was on show just a minute ago, but it's just gone in. Anyway, let's talk about Wales. Yes, so domestic rugby in Wales, which has 4 regions, is, well, it could stay as 4, could drop to 3, could drop to 2. The bold suggestions come amid a load of strain, an 18-game losing streak, which was only ended with that win against Japan last month, with Welsh regions struggling to keep pace with sides in the URC and in European competition in the Champions Cup. The national team has suffered. The funding has not been there. The funding models don't look good. Attendances have been poor. There's very, very few positives in Welsh rugby at the minute. Some of the junior teams have been doing better, to be fair. And then there's Jack Morgan as well, if you want to clutch at straws. Fans absolutely up in arms at what the WRU have suggested, proposing that Welsh rugby may lose 2 historic regions. It's provoked a really passionate outcry. Some saying it's going to just completely ruin interest for a lot of people in Welsh rugby. Some that it will eradicate history. It'll push away a fan base that have already been pushed through the mill. Just a moment to say thank you to Pace Car Rental for their support on this trip. I have arrived here at OR Tambo Airport in Johannesburg, dropped the car off at the first class parking kiosk right there, which is that close to the door for the departures. It could not be quicker or simpler. Lovely car as well. And at the other end of my trip is going to be another car from Pace Rental Car waiting for me in Port Elizabeth. And that is by far the quickest one yet. Just arrived at Port Elizabeth, and literally within 15 minutes of the wheels of the plane touching the tarmac, I am sat in the car with Kaiser, who's just was meeting me in the arrivals hall. He has already just dashed off to go and pay for the ticket so I can get out as well. So a full service, I highly recommend. And because you're watching this, you can get a discount as well. Because if you use code EGGCHASERS at checkout, there is a discount with Pace Car Rental for you. I will leave a link in the description. So the question is what's being proposed the right fix? It's interesting, the 4 different options that have been put forward by the WRU. One where things stay as they are and there's unequal funding. One where one team gets dropped and there's equal funding. One where there's one region dropped and there's equal funding. and one where it drops down to 2, and it's a land of milk and honey where there's loads of money, massive squads. And this is one of the bits of cynicism I have about this whole thing, is it seems a bit to me like, yeah, I don't know if I'm accurate here, and maybe I'm just being overly cynical, but it feels a little bit like the WRU want to cut 2 regions, something that was rumoured and talked about a couple of months ago, if you remember. There was that leak, and then apparently they're cutting 2 teams, and then the WRU came out and said, no, we're just considering things. But now they've come out and said, yeah, we might cut 2 teams, but we also might only cut 1, and we might cut none. My suspicion, and again, I may be proven wrong, my suspicion is that they've decided we're cutting 2 teams, and then from there they're going, what is the way that we can get this through with the least amount of blowback? And if you were going to decide that 2 is the way to go, you would leave lots of different offers on the table, including staying as it is, including dropping just 1 region, and have a consultation period where fans' opinions are going to be shared and considered. Only who are the people that are going to be considering and taking on board people's opinions in this consultation period? It's one branch of the WRU who are going to feed back to another branch of the WRU, the executive, and that's going to help inform the WRU on the decision that the WRU are going to take. So call me cynical. It just feels a little bit like the WRU marking its own homework, and it can present the findings of what people say in whatever way that it wants. I hope I'm being too cynical. I hope that actually the reality is that the voice of Welsh fans, because that's what's important, that's what's most important here, the voice of Welsh players and fans is absolutely at the heart of whatever decision there is to go forward. It's interesting, Joe Hawkins coming out and saying, I think put in a really reasonable perspective when he posted online that this risks alienating a section of fans unnecessarily. I think he makes a really, really good point. It's tough, right? So I'm in South Africa at the minute, where there's an incredible sense of identity that is built around rugby. Whether that's the national team, I'm here in Cape Town and people are really proud of the Stormers of Western Province, but even more than that, people are proud and massively engaged in the school rugby team, which they might have a connection to because their child plays there, or they were there when they were a kid, or it's from the area they live in, or they know someone, or whatever. It's the sense of identity through rugby is amazing. And it's something I've long said was a mistake, was that trying to think you can just ignore that sense of local identity. And we saw it with Neath and Swansea being squidged together as the Ospreys. An unnatural combination of fans who were forced together, and it's never quite blended perfectly as a result. Because the identity of Neath and the identity of Swansea mattered, and they're important. And so I worry that the same thing might happen again. Is this going to be 2 super regions and you kind of extinguish what it means to be Cardiff or Newport or Llanelli? Is it just going to be East and West? Are they just getting rid of one of the teams, and will that be the Ospreys? I don't know. What I do know is the regions are fighting back. They're not taking this lying down. And there's already talk about the funding, redevelopment of grounds and things. So it feels like the regions are saying, to hell with you, WRU, we're just going to press on. At some point, the rubber's going to meet the road. I just hope it's not too painful. I feel for the fans first and foremost. Wales have massively overperformed, but even more than that, when you look down through the decades and decades of rugby at amateur levels and professional levels, a strong Welsh team has been massively important. I do sympathise with the thought of having higher concentration of quality players into fewer teams who can compete better in the URC, reach those knockout stages and get that experience of playing at that level, playing in deep into Champions Cup, the cohesion of playing together lots for your club and translating that to the national team. I do get that, I do get it. And Scotland is the obvious comparison, similar population. And Glasgow and Edinburgh has worked relatively well, but not without its limitations. There is only a certain number of spots that players can play. They'd have to get rid of the play in Wales, play for Wales rules. They'd just have to scrap that completely, as Scotland have done, because there are only so many spots. But I do get it, and that's part. The case for it, okay, so let me just be devil's advocate. The case for two regions: financial sustainability, stronger and deeper squads that can be more competitive in Europe in the URC. You might have more clarity over the pathways and the development with a central training centre, as has been suggested by the WRU. Players could arguably be better prepared for international rugby because they're more cohesive and they've got more experience of playing in bigger matches. And you could argue with all of those things, it future-proofs the game a little bit. The case against it, the destruction of regional identity. Each region serves a community that has a unique history, and mess with that at your peril. Reduced opportunities for young players because there's only so many spots on those pathway. Fans that already feel alienated just turning their back and saying, that's it, I'm done with it. Wales, to me, seems to have a larger player base and a stronger rugby culture than Scotland. So is the two regions like they have in Scotland, the two teams, is that the right way to go? And also, there'd be less sort of diversity of the different styles and the different ways of playing. There'll be some teams that might have one region that has a really strong front five and one that just are ballers, like, you know, the Wayne Pivac Scarlets team that kind of changed the style of play, and that fed its way into the national team. And also, I guess fundamentally, it would be a bit of an admission of defeat, because this sort of move has been rejected, said it won't happen, denied. And now if it does happen, it's kind of the WRU having to hold their hands up and say we failed. And that's probably the final thing I'll say. Maybe the biggest failing of all, or the biggest issue of all, is that the very people who would be putting themselves front and centre at solving the problem that Welsh Rugby has become would be the very people that made the mess in the first place. Like right now, if the WRU were a car salesman, would you buy a second-hand car from them? Not a chance. They're the ones that have put Wales in this position. With funding, with like the politics behind the scenes, it seems like a snake pit, Welsh Rugby. It's been managed into this position of decline. And now the very people that, in my mind, caused the issue are the ones saying that they've got the answer and they can also be the ones that will administer this new plan which is going to solve everything. Forgive me for being a bit cynical of that as well, just as I am cynical that they have actually already made their decision and are just reverse engineering everything so that people go along with the decision they've already made. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Let me know yours. And I will see you on the next video. Yeah, that's that, sorry. You get distracted by views all the time, like you just look around and start daydreaming. It is stunning. I'm gonna go for some food and I will see you on the next one.